This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com, and I have former UFC champion and UFC Hall of Famer Dan the Beast Severn on the line to chat with me quickly about a roast that's happening at the East Side Grill in Greenville, South Carolina. Tickets are only $10 for this event, and I guess you're going to be roasted by Matthew Granahan as well as some other MMA/wrestling people from that area.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I'll just say that I'm not certain what exactly I agreed to. I've only ever watched a few roasts on television, and I'll just say that they're pretty raunchy. So I'm not certain quite what I will be retorting back with. So I guess I'm going to be flying by the seat of my pants on this one there.
And you are a little bit of a comedian yourself. I remember, I think it was last year in Iowa when you were honored at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame there. You were making quite a few jokes during your acceptance speech, and you had the crowd cracking up. Is this something that you're going to do more of as you get out of the professional wrestling industry, the comedy stuff?
I mean, I guess something that I did not really realize. I mean, it's I just tell stories is really what I do, and they're true stories that have taken place in life, and just a lot of people are abused by them. I mean, it's how did I ever get involved in professionalism, how I ended up getting involved in the MMA world and stuff like that. It wasn't a traditional route of watching it and growing up and then wanting to jump on out, just through different circumstances of how it faced happened in my life and opportunities presented it right then and there. Like going, why not give it a shot? That who would have ever figured that 20-some years later doing this, and 20 years later doing that, 30 years later doing this, it's kind of like going, wow. I mean, life's been fun.
And you're still getting in the ring here and there too. People can contact you through your website. Hopefully, before you hang up the boots, we can have you one more time up here in Great North Wrestling. But if people want to contact you to book you for a seminar or a personal appearance or a wrestling appearance, where can they reach you?
The best thing is just go to my website, dansevern.com, and that has all my social media outlets, and it's being revamped. So, if you see a few things that aren't really working onto it well, just all your listeners just know that it's under construction and will be rejuvenated.
And have you heard about this Tito Ortiz, Alberto El Patron MMA fight coming up in Texas for Combate Americas? And what would your prediction be for that one? It's kind of a mix of a former WWE champion and another UFC Hall of Famer.
Well, actually, I thought there was a different opponent that Tito had coming up. I saw something on Facebook where Tito had a match coming up, but I thought it was somebody else. So
yeah, it's December 9th in Hidalgo, Texas, against Alberto Del Rio, who's also known as Alberto El Patron. So that's the official match.
Well, I couldn't really tell you much about Del Rio because I really don't have nothing to go by other than, I have nothing to go by on there, period.
And the other last thing I wanted to ask you about UFC news, did you hear that Connor McGregor is actually going to have a court date now over this gentleman that I guess he punched? Yeah, and he could be facing 6 months in prison, apparently.
Well, I think that's a little harsh, 6 months in prison, but I think a little bit of a financial penalty and maybe doing something. But 6 months, I think that's just a little harsh for But I did see the clips, and it was wrong what Connor did, I just don't know that the punishment fits the crime there.
His personality was a little different than yours. You were known for always being a gentleman outside the ring and a monster or a beast inside the ring. But
well, yeah, I mean, I would have, it's I'm already dealing with a few other people right now that are the keyboard kings that are trying to get me to sway my opinion on some individuals. I go, I'm a big boy. I go, I'll make my own decisions and not be swayed by others.
what did you think about the UFC basically publicly firing BJ Penn? He was supposed to have a fight at UFC Boston, but I guess he got into a street fight that was released out on video, and he ended up losing that payday.
Yeah, that was kind of sad just to see. I mean, in general, just the fact that you would think that, professional fighters, professional athletes, I mean, just being a professional in general, you just would not stoop to certain aspects like that. I did not see the very beginning of it. I just know that, drunken debauchery fighting should not really be taking place just for individuals that have done it as part of their career. It just, there's no place for it. I think you and I have had conversations before where I told you that I've been closer to getting into a fight in the last 20 years of my life as I did in the previous 40, only because I was doing appearances at sports bars a little bit later in the evening than what I probably should have, where some of the male patrons have partaken of too many of the barley pop beverages, and they get a little bit bolder when they have a little bit more liquid encouragement into them, to where I've had to take one of my business cards, write a phone number, slide it over to them, and they're like, well, what's that? I go, that's the phone number to the UFC. And I go, what do I need that for? I said, I've never fought for free. I don't plan on starting any bad habits now. I said, but what you'll like about it is the fact that there is a referee, and he'll pull me off of you the moment I'm done with you. And and you're never more than probably 35 to 40 feet from a medical practitioner. So, pick wisely, my friend. Pick wisely.
And you're known for being a former NWA champion. You brought the NWA world title into the octagon. I think you're the only wrestler that's ever brought a world title into a UFC octagon. What are your thoughts on Billy Corgan reopening up the NWA? And I think you could take the current NWA champion, Nick Aldis, pretty easily. Was there ever any talk of you coming back into the company now that they're getting going again?
Well, it's just because that's been brought to my attention just recently. I definitely have some interest of revisiting that. So that might be something I might want to talk to you once we are off the air, because, again, as we've talked about in a previous interview, I've actually never have lost the belt. It was stripped of me because of a poor deal that the NWA struck with, I think, TNA, and they were doing pay-per-views, and their pay-per-view buy rate was really pretty pathetic, and they started right out the get-go there with a title defense, and I used to keep my schedule right up on my website, and on the date that they wanted me, I was going to be in Texas in it wasn't MMA at that time, it was an NHB, a no-holds-barred match taking place, and they really wanted me bad on this pay-per-view, and I said, I got a commitment out, so I can't do it, and ended up getting stripped of the belt. So those are one of those moments that if you could have it to do all over, I would have done something a little bit differently about that one. But the fact is, I'm still in the ring. I'm actually in pretty darn good shape for a gentleman of my age, and I would like to see if I could go one more hurrah with it.
You still look pretty much the same, and I think from a name value, you would be a much better NWA champion than Nick Aldis, because I think one of their problems is no one really knows who this Nick Aldis is other than the super fans. But that remains to be seen. But you mentioned bad pay-per-view buy rates. Did you hear that Ken Shamrock's bare knuckle pay-per-view only had about 300 buys, according to Dave Meltzer?
No, I did not hear that. I knew that his show was coming on up. I had a chance to discuss a few days there with Ken when we were in Australia.
Oh, I forgot about that. You guys finally had your rematch. It was canceled.
Yeah, I'll say but the third match finally did take place, and one Australian sports writer, S.E. Cassidy, he had his opportunity to watch WrestleMania in Sydney, Australia. So he really loved the match a great deal, and it was a lot more into it than I thought was going to take place. So, but I think bottom line is that the fans that were there watching the show, they enjoyed it.
Are you on better terms with Ken now than you have been in the past, now that I see you guys are getting back in the ring together?
Well, the fact that we were in Australia for basically 10 days, so being around each other, you can't help but interact with each other. So I think I learned a little bit more where he's coming from. He understands a little bit more where I'm coming from. And I'll say that we played nice. That's all I tell people. It's like, a lot of people are thinking that there could be fireworks, stuff like that. And literally, I trained in preparation for what could be a full-out MMA match, hoping that it was just going to be a professionalism match. So that's what emerged out of it. So,
and I believe it was a draw, right?
It went down.
I think it was a draw in the end.
Yes. Yep, double DQ.
So maybe there'll be another match to finally settle the score in pro wrestling. I think WWE blew it by not having that match back when you guys were both under contract, but maybe in the future you guys could do it in the United States.
Yeah, I know that footage will eventually emerge. I've already been in contact with the promoter, and he's telling me that he'll make certain that I have a copy of it, and then I'll possibly put it up on my either Facebook or I have some type of outlet that I'll make it available to the folks that would like to view the match. Because, like I said, it's I think that we did a very good job in the professional wrestling world for a match.
And speaking of Australia, did you hear that UFC actually drew 57,127 fans for a $5,470,000 gate for UFC 243 at Marvel Stadium? That's a pretty long way from when you first started with the company.
Well, yeah, there was, I think, the biggest houses at the time that I was there might have been right around that 3,000 to 4,000 people range. So to see how it has emerged, it makes me feel good to see that it has been there, to know that you were part of the building process.
You're definitely.
I've actually been to. I haven't really been to a show of that magnitude, but I've been to some of the more recent pay-per-views in and around the United States here and there. When I'm in Phoenix, shooting over to Las Vegas is a pretty easy thing to do, and I enjoy that. And it's still kind of great just to see all the different fans of sport that recognize you, still want to shake your hand, and take a snapshot with you.
Were you at the last UFC in Phoenix when Cain Velasquez had his last UFC fight?
Yes, I was there at that one.
What did you think about that finish? Because that was a little unusual stoppage.
Well, that was probably not the way that Cain would have liked to have gone out on that match. I mean, there was a great deal of electricity because there was a lot of Arizona fans that were there, a lot of former Sun Devils that came out in support of. Cain did go to Arizona State University, so that he definitely was the highly favored, and there was quite a few people in attendance there to watch, and was hoping for a little bit better turnout. Finish, I should say. But you can't really take nothing away from what he's done in the past. I mean, Cain was a good champion, and now he's moving on to other things as a luchador wrestler.
Yeah, I understand that. From what I read in the Wrestling Observer, he probably made somewhere around $500,000 for that last UFC fight, but I'm pretty sure for this Saudi Arabia match he's going to have against Brock Lesnar, he'll probably make more than that. And pro wrestling's a lot easier, as you know. As far as training goes anyways, the overall toll on your body is still hard, but you don't have the stress of if you're going to win or not.
Yeah, you're exactly right on that one. I guess one aspect of this, just for the listeners, I always tell people that, I've had several different careers that have ranged between amateur wrestling, my professional wrestling, my mixed martial arts career. The safest thing that I did do was cage fighting. Now, I just use the word cage fighting because, most of your listeners still know what the terms of mixed martial arts. Well, to see it through from the no holds barred to the mixed martial arts era and all the changes that had to take place. That's why I just refer to it as cage fighting. But it's great to see where the sport is now at, and I can't even imagine what the future's going to hold, because there still has not been a Super Bowl style of an event. And I think that when you look at the Japanese professional wrestling federations, that companies, they usually put in a big year-end type of extravaganza, and that's why I think that especially out in the United States, because we have our Super Bowl in football, and there's always the playoffs that take place for basketball, baseball, and hockey and all that. Well, for MMA, there's got to be kind of a Super Bowl event that should be taking place in that as well.
Have you seen this latest viral video of these two 8-year-old Russian kids having a full-on MMA fight? And do you think that's a good age to be taking blows to the head?
I did not see that, but I know of children's classes training mixed martial arts. I guess I got definitely mixed emotions about that. I think that it's good to involve kids at younger ages into all types of sporting events and stuff like that. But to actually be doing kicking, elbow, knees, punching, I don't think that's really should be involved in that at all.
Well, I know you're a busy man, so people that want to see you that live in Greenville, South Carolina, they can go to the East Side Grill tomorrow at 4 p.m. for your roast with the King of Connecticut and other local personalities from the area. $10 for tickets, and I guess they can probably meet you and talk to you for that too. It's probably not just a show. I'm sure you're signing autographs.
No, I'll be there. Yep, I'll be there afterwards. I'll have one of my tables set up, and I'll have a few belts on display there. So again, just like you said earlier, I'll have the NWA belt along with the UFC belt, and that's a historic moment in time.
And the last thing I'll bring up, because I know you're into the CBD oil business, if people are interested in your CBD products, where can they get more information?
Okay, well, two things, CBD, but then also stem cells. We haven't had a chance to speak about that yet, but I have gone and taken some shots of stem cells. I mean, CBD oil is phenomenal for inflammation of the body, and when you look at like a country like the United States, where we have more senior citizens now than we do have young people, arthritis, bursitis, those are two of the most common elements that senior citizens have, and yours truly is a senior citizen as well. So CBD is really good for just going after inflammation in the body. But the stem cells, I'm doing things that I haven't been able to do in the last couple of years. So I am really excited about both aspects. I have done a few postings on my Facebook pages for more information, or if you have people that want to find out more about the stem cells, and even for like the CBD oil, if they're interested in either purchasing or gather some more information. Again, they can go to my Facebook page. All that information is located on my website at dansevern.com, SEVERN, dansevern.com. And like I said, it's still under some renovation, so bear with it if not everything is quite in operation.